So this is our Week 16 Saturday DFS mini episode. We have Saturday football this week. I don't know about y'all, but I am excited. It's only 2 games, but we have a contest up and running, a DraftKings contest where it's a $1 entry, but it's a winner take all. So this is our first payout contest, which is pretty exciting. Let's chat about the games this week. What do y'all think?
Yeah, it is an interesting slate. We only have 2 games. Saturday should be very fun if you're a football fan. We also have the 3 college football, but we get 4 potentially playoff teams here squaring up with Houston, Kansas City, and with Pittsburgh and Baltimore. We're going to have a bunch of these weird slates with the holidays coming up, so more to come on that. But let's dive into these.
Yeah, it's a great time to test it out and see if you like the 2-game slate and find out if you do better in a smaller pool, because maybe you should be playing 4 o'clock only slates if that's the case. And you'll find out pretty quickly if you like these or not.
If this does hit for you, we got playoffs coming up too, where we're going to have plenty of them. Let's see if we can make some money this week.
Well, let's jump into the Houston at Kansas City game, where Kansas City is favored by 3 and the over-under is 41.
Yeah, so there's a lot of injury questions on this one. You want to fill us in on the latest with Mahomes?
Yeah, Mahomes was cleared to play on Thursday, much to my surprise. I keep thinking they're going to get him healthy, but no, he's cleared to start. He's going in. He's going to play. And then Hollywood Brown also no longer carries an injury designation tag, but he hasn't been activated off of IR, but we could definitely see him coming back on Saturday as well.
Can they activate him Saturday morning and play him? Is there any time restriction between when they activate and when he can play?
We'll get some heads up before the game, but I don't think they have to give a full window.
Kansas City is playing their second game of their 3 games in 11 days. This one, they've got almost a full week playing on Saturday, but after Saturday, they've got to turn around and play again on Wednesday, which is going to be a quick turnaround.
Yeah, and that is true for all of these teams here, too. They're going immediately from the Saturday to the Wednesday. So when we're talking about the injuries, you got to kind of keep in mind, all these teams have playoffs in mind. And with a 4-game turnaround, are they going to kind of keep them in to rest this week, kind of get that longer rest, and then play that next game?
Yeah, both teams are coming off wins. Kansas City and Houston, but they didn't look really impressive last week or all this year. Who do you like here?
I kind of like Kansas City to win close, probably not to cover again. That's just what they've been doing all season. Both these teams are heavily motivated. Kansas City's trying to play for that bye, and especially without the tiebreaker against Buffalo, they need to stack up a couple wins in the next 3 games. Even though they're 13-1, they're still looking at kind of in the rear view at Buffalo catching them. I think that it's just kind of a bad matchup. CJ Stroud is not impressed this year, and Mixon's banged up against a really stout Kansas City rushing defense. So I think Kansas City will probably do enough. I think Mahomes won't. He'll be playing out there and kind of what we've seen all season. Really, the only lean immediately is Nico. There's not a lot of elite wide receiving options in this 2-game slate, and he stands out as a cut above the rest.
He definitely does. I think you have to go with Nico in this, even against a good Chiefs defense. CJ Stroud has not been over 20 fantasy points since week 5, and I believe that kind of ties in with how we saw the running game with Mixon being so strong at first. And as it's continued to fall away and Mixon's been injured a little bit more, then CJ Stroud has been having a lot of issues back there. I don't see that changing this week.
Yeah, I think both these teams honestly want to just run the ball and keep it close and then just have a lot of confidence that their quarterback down the stretch is going to win it for them. I like Nico. He's really the only standout player. I think the Kansas City running backs are options. Pacheco will probably get more and more involved as we get closer to the playoffs, and he's healing from that broken fibula. So I like the Kansas City running backs as an option, and the Kansas City defense I think is a great play at home. This is the lower scoring game in my mind of the 2. There's only 4 defense options, and I like Kansas City the best.
I like Kansas City the best too.
Let's move on and chat Pittsburgh at Baltimore, since there aren't that many people you liked in that first game. Baltimore's favored. Over-under is 44. What do y'all think here? Hopefully there's more players you like here.
I think the line here, the 6.5 points that Baltimore is favored by, is being driven by the injuries to the Steelers, George Pickens particularly, and then the slew of injuries that the Steelers have on defense. This isn't the Steelers team that we saw 5 weeks ago. This is an injured, hurt Steelers team. And Pickens has already been ruled out. TJ Watt with the ankle injury is looking like he's going to play. He's been removed from the injury report as of Thursday, but their cornerback and safety are questionable and doubtful.
Yeah, and the Steelers got blown up last week against the Eagles while Baltimore got a cruise against the Giants. I am surprised just because it's a divisional AFC North matchup. Like a 6.5 point spread seems like a lot to me. So I would lean Pittsburgh in that just to keep it close. These teams always play each other close. I think this is one of the best rivalries we have out there in the NFL. And in games against Pittsburgh, Lamar's struggled. He averages only 153 yards, less than a touchdown a game, and over an interception a game. So he has been playing at an elite level, but we even saw a couple weeks ago that he faltered against this Pittsburgh defense. They just know each other well. And so I'm leaning more on the cheaper Pittsburgh side in general, but trying to find some pass catching options with Pickens out.
This is fun because I'm leaning paying up and going for Lamar. I just think all the injuries to the Steelers, that this is not the Steelers team that we have seen dominate Lamar in past matchups. And I feel like the Ravens are really motivated right now. And they need to win. They need to win this matchup to win the division.
They do. And, yeah, they can't afford to get swept, especially here at home. I think a big decision point on just who you think is going to win this game is what you do with Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry at home in wins dominates, and he always sees success. And so if they're going to have that rush-friendly game script and they're going to be playing from ahead, then I think he is in a position to crush here and one of the better plays on the slate. But in games where, Lamar's trying to bring them back, then we see it shift more to the Zay Flowers, Mark Andrews kind of style.
Yeah, so we're on different sides here. I'm going to let you build a lineup first, and then I'm going to erase it, and then I'm going to enter my own lineup. So I'll let you drive. Go ahead, tell me who you're targeting here. I know you said Russell Wilson, so we'll put Russell Wilson in.
Yeah, Russell Wilson is less of a confidence play in Wilson, and it's more of a lack of confidence in the 4 quarterbacks on the slate, and he's the cheapest option. So I like Wilson, and then I like Henry. In my mindset, Baltimore's going to win this game, and Pittsburgh's going to need to come back. Henry's steamrolling. I was looking for other pass-catching options that I think will be involved with Russell Wilson with Pickens out, and that led me to Najee, just the workload, and adding in Calvin Austin and Freiermuth.
So we're like all in on the Baltimore game here so far.
I'm almost completely into this game where I don't think the other game has potential really to have high scoring. Well, this one could be an over 50 total, I think very easily. I also like Zay Flowers. Like we were talking, there's just not a lot of pass catching options on the slate. I think you can replace him with Hopkins if you want. And then I'm finding a way to fit in Nico in every lineup. So I've got Nico as well.
All right, so we're putting in Nico. Let's put him in
And
wide
Zay.
receiver. And Zay Flowers. Who's your flex? And who's your defense?
In my flex, I got Hopkins. Just kind of that go-to, especially with PPR bonus on DraftKings. And then I got the Chiefs defense.
You can afford any of the defense.
Yeah, and I wind up with some savings, get a little bit different on the 2-game slate, and I went very heavy on the pass catchers for Pittsburgh.
And it's kind of interesting in this 2-game slate, you can get in a relatively inexpensive contest and go all in on each quarterback and each side of the ball and do that kind of lineup. And that's usually what we end up doing, and you get to see if you can hit it or not by picking each one of them. We're only building one here, and so it's a little bit different. But normally I would build one on each side of it and see if I could hit one of those. This is one of the odd weeks where I feel like it could just be that true mix of just calling the right players and not being all in on a game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Since there's only 2 games, are we running the risk of increased, I guess, chalkiness with people or like ownership where you win, but you're going to be splitting that pot with 15 other people because there's just less players to choose from?
It's definitely a high likelihood. We got 4 starting running backs to talk about, really, or 4 number ones. You're going to have to eat some roster percentage, especially on running backs. Don't be too scared. I would just make sure you have that one piece. I think in my lineup, it's more of that Calvin Austin. If he catches that bomb, he's that difference maker for me.
That's interesting because in my lineup, I'm going all in on the Baltimore side, and I also have Calvin Austin and Nico Collins and Zay Flowers and Hopkins. It's very interesting. And the Chiefs defense. So where we got different was right here. So the quarterback, the running back, and the tight end, I was going to Lamar. And on my tight end, I've got to save some money. So I'm going to put in the Chiefs' Noah Gray at tight end. And then I still need to save some more money. And to do that, I'm going to take Derrick Henry's backup and assume that I'm just literally all in on the Ravens running everywhere they can. And I'm going to take Justice Hill.
So you're going to have probably the 3 leading rushers for Baltimore. Yeah.
So that's what I'm doing. So that's how we got different, which you saw all the similarities in those lineups, but I'm on the Baltimore side and you're coming in not necessarily on the Steelers side, but the fact that they're playing from behind and a little different.
Yeah. And I think we both went that way just because Houston and Kansas City, I think, are happy scoring at most 17 points and being in a close game and trusting later on.
We've got the parts. We've got Nico Collins in there, which I think is the big part of that game. And mine could be Noah Gray. I'm getting a little bit into that game at least.
Yeah.
Hopefully the Pittsburgh-Baltimore game will be much higher scoring than the last time they faced off and not all scored in field goals. I think that wraps us up for our Saturday mini episode. Tune into our DFS episode for the full Sunday slate where we'll be going over all the games for Sunday and talking about our contest there.